about your grab-and-go resources from Lumio. I want to invite all of you to join my lesson as a guest student. So I'm going to pop out these join instructions right now. And if it's easier for you to join the guest student side on your smartphone or your iPad or whatever you have handy, that's great. If you want to split your screen so that you've got my teacher side or my screen on one window and your student guest screen on the other, go for it. I will go ahead and split my screen for anybody who simply wants to observe. So I'm going to open up a private window here, and we'll go ahead and type in the join instructions, which are hellosmart.com. Once you get to hellosmart.com, go ahead and pop this over here and this over here. You'll choose to, for today's purposes, you can join as a guest. We normally would want our students to log in with their school issued credentials so that they can get into the lesson, see their work, and then when you share that student share link outside of class time, they can get back into the lesson, see their previous work, and keep working. But for today, you can just join as a guest, 887-119. And I'll join as Otto. Okay. There we go. So on the student side, you should see my intro page, Passport to ELA Engagement. You will notice that on the student side, you have a tool to let the system read to you. The immersive reader is built into Lumio so that your students can get help if they're early readers or English is not their first language or whatever the case may be. And I love this immersive reader because it it gives you those visuals, it reads the words to the students, and it even has a choose your language, a wealth of translation options here. So really amazing resource that we've built into Lumio for our students. It seems like we've got a good number of you in there. So I am going to quickly pop into the chat because I forgot to do that. Just in case anyone else wants to join, it's hellosmart.com. Join as a guest for today's purposes, and my code is 887-119. So that if anybody pops in and wants to join as a guest student, they can do that. All right. And now I will go ahead and close out our join instructions and move us along. Now, right now I have us in teacher pace. So when I pop out my student list, I can see I'm on teacher pace. Some of you are signed in as yourselves as teachers, which is great. And many of you are in guest, which is perfectly fine. And as I move us forward, if I move forward, you move forward. If I want to give you some independent time to look ahead in this lesson, I'm going to flip us over to student pace. So I click that people icon, flip to student pace. And now, as you can see, Otto can skip ahead and get a sneak peek at what's coming. But at any point, I might want to pull my students back to me. So I'm going to click on that people icon and click teacher pace again to bring my students back to my attention. All right, 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me, right? So our lesson today, as we said, is to really learn how we can take advantage of this Lumio library with ready-made lesson games and templates. You are going to see that we have a wealth of resources for ELA engagement in our Lumio library. So I'm going to highlight a couple of things for you to see from the student perspective first, and then we'll actually go into the building and exploring experience. I know that I have until 10:50, so is that right? 10:50? So keep me honest. If anyone needs to come off mute to alert me when I've got about 10 minutes left, that would be great. But we're going to spend a little time. We're going to activate some prior knowledge. We'll do a little literacy skill review, collaborative writing, and student reflection. All of these things can be accomplished inside of Lumio with our existing resources. So first and foremost, we're going to activate that prior knowledge. So I have a KWL chart here. And as you can see on my student side, the button is resume. So Otto can contribute to this whole class whiteboard, what he knows, what he wants to learn, what ultimately will get back to what he has learned. But on the teacher side, I can click on class progress and see everybody's contributions. Maybe I have my screen projected onto a smart board or some other large screen in the classroom so that my students can all participate. For this example, I went ahead and chose Charlotte's Web. So what does Otto know about Charlotte's Web? Well, Otto happens to be a big animal lover. So he's like, he knows that spiders are awesome builders. Maybe he knows that this is a story about a pig and a spider. Yep. Okay. Oh, and he sees that other people are saying that. So maybe he's like, oh, I don't need to say that. I just know that spiders are awesome builders. So he, oh, was that little ping a chat question? Should I be? Oh no, go ahead, play along, play along. Please do play along. I'm just going to also show that the student side on my screen is split between teacher side on the left and student side on the right, because some of you may not want to play along actively. You might just want to watch and observe. If that's your learning style, I'm totally okay with that. So that's why I split my screen, so that if you'd rather observe the experience, then it's easy for you to see teacher side and student side. Okay, so now, oh, I see someone's bringing in a picture. Yes, I love that. I love that somebody brought in a picture of a spider web. Now, Otto might also say that he wants to learn, what does he want to know? He wants to know how spiders build, maybe how Charlotte in particular, maybe he wants to know how Charlotte builds her web. What kind of spider is she? Maybe Otto knows like a bunch about little spiders, which actually he does. He's very into nature. So these are the things that Otto wants to know. Now, on the teacher side, I'm watching all of my students contribute to this whole class whiteboard. I might want to pause everybody's contributions. Notice that when I clicked, everyone can edit to turn it off for a moment. I pause the editing. So Otto can no longer edit or do anything on his side. So you as my guest students cannot contribute right now. And it says at the top, you can't edit this page right now. And maybe I want to take a pause. If somebody puts something inappropriate, pause it, delete it, have a discussion about your class rules, right? We got to sometimes reset expectations with our students. Or maybe we're just going to set those expectations up front. So the minute we get to this page, we pause it and we say, okay, before you guys dive in, be respectful, be honest, be mindful, whatever your class rules are. Now let's let everyone edit again. So I click that toggle switch to let everyone edit, and I can see my student tools are back. So Otto's able to go back to editing. In addition, the teacher has a few extra goodies here. The teacher can, of course, reset the activity if she's decided she wants to end it all together. We'll click on that gear symbol and click end. The teacher could find out who contributed what, either live in class or later. We can come back and check this out so we can give points to students who participated. So I can see that Otto added that spiders are awesome builders. Good job, Otto, right? And maybe I can, if I want to highlight something or I want to underline something, I can emphasize that. I can add that just like my students can on this page. So some of the other sort of ready-made resources that we have, there are some pre-built games in our Lumio library. So you can, in this particular case, it's an example game of similes versus metaphors. Each of my students can play this independently. If I happen to have an interactive screen in my classroom, I could click on model the activity and invite students up to the board to move and determine which ones are metaphors, which ones are similes. And these games, quite a few of them have these interactive background or themes to them that make it a lot of fun for the students. This is a metaphor. Yes, one for the metaphors. This is a simile, so the students can play pirates, right? But they can, of course, play. They can play at their own at their own seats, at their own one-to-one devices. This is something they could do from home even if you share the student share link with your students so they can go back and review and practice. These games are fantastic for activating prior knowledge, for reviewing content, for practicing concepts. And as my students are playing, I can view their progress. So this is one of the newer elements to Lumio that I love. I can check out, and I'm going to go ahead and make it my teacher screen full screen for a moment to show you this in detail. So on the left, I see that 3 of my students have not gotten started, 9 are in progress, and 4 are done. I can even show the results, aggregate results, mind you. This is not individual student data just yet. We've got here the overall score of my students. So how much time have they spent on it? What's their average score that first time through the activity? What are the most frequently incorrect and correct answers, right? So I can figure some great information about my students and what they understand about this concept of similes and metaphors to help guide my next teaching step. I can also click on student progress. Now, I'm not going to actually show individual student progress because I want to be respectful of everyone here and their own comfort level with this topic. But as you can see, there's this beautiful blur screen that is a quick alert. Don't forget, when you click on student progress, you are going to be looking at individual student completion data in this particular game. So are you going to share this with the whole class? Probably not. I know that I would not. So I'd want to make sure that I'm not sharing my teacher screen on a big display or through the Zoom or Google Meet when I go to look at this page. But then I can show that individual student progress and I can click in and I can see, oh, Otto never finished playing the game, or Otto seems stuck, or, oh, Otto finished this game in like 30 seconds and he got all of them right. He gets this. So I don't have to worry about him. Okay, so that's the student progress page. And then of course the class overview page of these games. This is one of the many games you can find pre-made in the Lumio library. I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to skip past that next game because I want us to keep moving. But just so you're aware, there are a number of other games here. This one's about signal words, so we can figure out the author's purpose. But I'm going to keep us moving, and we're going to do a small group activity. Let's go ahead and split my screen again so that you can see the student side and the teacher side. So when I grab this activity from the Lumio library, I can make that decision of it being an individual handout or small group activity. And if I choose small group, I'm going to set my students up into small groups. One really important detail about these small group work pages or group workspaces. Your students need to be in the lesson live. That means they need to have gone to hellosmart.com and joined the lesson with your class ID, and they need to be actively in the lesson in order for this setup to get all of the students into those small groups. If you have a student out absent, what I would recommend is you make a copy of this page, leave it as a whole class workspace so that anybody and everyone could contribute to it, or make it an individual handout so that each of those students that are absent can contribute to the page individually or as a group of, oh, these are the 3 kids that were out sick today. They're going to be their own group so that they can do that work outside of class or during the next class period without you having to go through this setup process. Because at this time, the one kind of like quirk about these small group workspaces is that the students need to be live in the lesson for you to assign them to a group. So I see I have 15 of you in here. Hopefully that's everyone. I did see the number drop when I first came to this page, but just everybody activate your student side right now if you want to participate, okay? I'm going to click set up. And I can have up to 9 groups of 6 students. That's way more students than you should ever have in your classroom, I hope. Whoops. Hey, somebody went inactive. There we go. Okay, good. So now I'm going to choose how many teams I want. I want 3 teams of 5 maybe. So 3 teams. And let's just make sure that all 5 come in. Perfect. So I've got, My number just went up to 16. So what do I do if a student joins just a little late? Maybe I know I should have 16, but I see only 15 names here. I'm just going to flip back up to the previous page and back down and click setup one more time. Now, whoever that was, that number 16, come on and get active right now, because I don't want to delay us anymore. Okay, maybe our 16th person doesn't actually want to play along right now. That's okay. Let me expand the teacher page one more time so that you can see this up close. The system randomly assigns these groups. If I know that I want Amy to be on the same team as Otto and Nicole to be on the same team as Rob, then I can click and drag their names around. No big deal. And then when I'm ready with my groups, I'm going to start the workspace. Because I can't see the chat, if there is a question in the chat, please don't hesitate to come off mute and ask me.
Hi, I just raised my hand because there are actually several questions in the chat.
Okay.
Should we wait, or is someone monitoring the chat, or?
If someone from the AACPS team is able to answer questions in the chat, that'd be great. Otherwise, I'll make sure that I carve out extra time at the end to go back and look at all the questions.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at the questions, and this is more stuff directed for Heather.
Okay, all right. I will make sure that I leave extra time at the end to go back and answer all the questions. Thank you. All right, so now let's split our screen one more time and show you that student side. So Otto is on team 2, and we are brainstorming the how we're going to write an argumentative piece, right? So we're planning our argumentative writing piece. Our issue is whether social media is harmful or helpful for high school students. And maybe in collaboration with his team, Otto's going to determine that social media is harmful. Maybe that's Otto's opinion. If one of his teammates doesn't agree with him, then they could have a little chat. Yeah, okay. Otto sees that one of his classmates has added TikTok. That's a great example of a kind of social media. Otto might say, hey, TikTok, let's make TikTok part of our evidence. What is it about TikTok that's good or bad? But what's our reason here? Have we all agreed that social media is harmful, or do we need to have a little discussion? And if someone disagrees with Otto, he might say, does everyone agree? Okay, and his classmates can respond to him in this chat. Maybe someone says, no, I don't agree. So we can have that virtual discussion if we're working outside of the physical classroom. But if we're able to all sit together in the classroom, we can have that discussion out loud, of course. And whatever the decision is as the group, they can start filling in this, and you can see that the students are able to contribute together in that one digital space. But notice that, this is team 2's space, right? So team 1, I'm going to click on team 1. Oh, team 1 hasn't gotten started yet. Let's see if team 3 has done anything. Awesome. Okay, so team 3 has put some content in here. On the teacher side, I can digitally peek over the shoulder of any of these teams, and I can see who's contributing what. So great job, Emily, for contributing. Thank you to Rob for contributing, right? So I can give my students a team grade maybe on this activity, but I'm also able to look at that attribution and give individual grades if I feel that that's appropriate. Maybe my students have a question. Maybe they're not sure where to go or what to do. Help, I don't get it, whatever the students might say. And as I digitally peek into team 2, I see that Otto's got a question. Now, I might say, okay, guys, anytime you see the color pink, that's Mrs. Schrader talking to you. So I'm here. Do you all need my help? Question mark. And ooh, whoops, that came out on top of Otto. So I can prompt Otto and his team. Do you guys need some help? And maybe Otto is going to say, he's going to delete his original comment and say, yes, we are confused. We don't know whatever we don't know. And then we can have a little private chat right, about this topic or about the thing that we're confused about. Or maybe it's just a good indicator that I need to physically go over to that group and work with them in that small group space. All right. So I love the digital over the shoulder peek with the groups. We can also do that with individual handouts. So here's one of those individual handouts. This is a response menu. I'm giving my students a reflection template essentially. So I'm asking my individual students to choose how they want to respond, how they want to reflect on the work we did in class today, or the lesson they just went through, or the exercises they just completed. And I'm giving them some choice. Drag each task or question and then respond to it. Share your ideas. So Otto might say, well, I like the idea of answering what have I learned after reading the text and jotting down 2 questions, and I want to jot down notes to create a circle map. And then Otto can start, drawing his circle map or whatever he wants to do to respond. And as I mentioned, I can digitally peek over the shoulder of my small groups and my individual students, so I can see that Otto has gotten started, but I'm not so sure this is a circle map. So I'm going to give him a little question mark there, give him a little poke, a little bit of feedback so that he can go back and work on that. Okay, and I see that Komish has found the done button, which is awesome. I might use that done button. I might tell my students, when you're done, when you're ready for me to check your work, click the done button, and my students can do that. But maybe I'm using the done button to say, okay, if you're willing to share your work with the class, click the done button. Or if you have a question today, I want you to click the done button, because unfortunately to date, we don't have a raise hand feature in Lumio. It is coming. I'm super excited to share with you that is on our roadmap for this calendar year. So I'm really excited to see that come to fruition in Lumio. So students can digitally raise their hand and you can digitally respond to them and have that private conversation, that private consult, if students are too shy to physically raise their hand in the classroom. So that is another one of those ready-made resources that we can find in our Lumio library. And the last thing I want to do here is take a minute. If there's something that you're excited about sharing with your students, go ahead and pop that into this upcoming shout it out. I'm going to do a quick shout it out on the fly. Okay. I know it says share it in the chat, but we're going to do it as a shout it out. So don't put it in the Google chat. I want to use that for your questions at the end. So what I'll do is on the fly at any point, if I need to ask my students a question and I want to get them all responding, I can either do a whole class whiteboard where they have free reign to post images, text, drawings, objects like shapes and lines, or I can do a quick, just a simple shout it out. So on the fly, is there anything that you've seen so far in our ready-made resources that I've shared with you for ELA engagement? Anything that you're excited to share with your students? Or maybe just the fact that I created a shout it out on the fly excited you. As you guys are answering, I'm going to quickly turn off display names. I click on my gear symbol and turn off display names so that you can share anonymously and confidently. Someone says, I like the team's creation. I'm so glad to hear that. Sorted games are great. Yes, I love games. I like the game. Organizers for group work are great. Team creation, phonics games. Yes, games. This is just a cool resource that I've never used. Yay! I'm so excited that you came to my session today and that you're excited to try this. All right. Good. Okay, so we need to wrap up by 10:50. I need to leave 10 minutes to go back and look at those questions. So let's take the next 20 minutes to dig around a little bit in our Lumio library. Okay. So before we show that teacher building and searching and building experience, all of you as my guest students right now need to leave my class. So on the student side, there will be 3 horizontal lines at the top left of your window. If you're in my class as a student, you'll tap on that and you'll click Leave Class. Okay, all of you, great job. Most of you are getting it right away. Excellent. There's always going to be a couple of stragglers. No big deal. There's always a student that's, maybe they forget to do it before they walk out of the classroom. Maybe they forget to do it before they shut down their laptop or their Chromebook. You can always click on your people icon and click Edit, select all, and remove those students. So the last 3 students that were just a tiny bit slow, no big deal, but I'm going to kick you out so that now on the student side, you should see that Welcome Students page. Go ahead and close that browser tab or close that window because we're going to start in your Google Drive and I don't want to cause any confusion. We're going to just close that browser tab out and now we'll open up our Google Drive. Okay. So we'll look at logging in from our Google Drive, and then we're going to be able to search the Lumio library. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Log into Google Drive. Open up your Google Drive, and actually, there are 2 ways to go about this. This is way number 1, and I completely forgot to build in way number 2, so I apologize. I will add that. And it will become part of this lesson before you guys go looking for it. I'll make sure to do that as soon as we're done here today. So option number 1, from your Google Drive, you can click on the waffle icon and click Lumio. If you scroll down, your Lumio should be one of those apps at the bottom of your waffle icon drop-down menu. There's a second option that I actually prefer to do. It's my normal method, but I borrowed this lesson from a colleague of mine, so I forgot to build this particular step in and add it myself. So I do apologize, but I'll show it to you live. From your Google Drive, you can simply go into the folder you want your lesson to live in and click New, More, Lumio. Now, why would you choose to go into the folder New, More, Lumio versus the waffle icon? Well, in my experience, and I'm a bit of an organization junkie, so I like everything to be in the right folder. And if I go to my waffle icon, all my Lumio stuff gets dumped into a Lumio folder in my Google Drive, which is fine, but then I need to move it to the right spot, and I don't want to have to take that time. So I like to go to the Google Drive folder first, and then click New, More, Lumio, so that I can get in, and anything I make after I've done those steps, go to the Google Drive folder, New, More, Lumio. Anything I create there then becomes part of that folder in my Google Drive, and I don't have to go searching for it or moving it around unless later I decide it doesn't belong there. Okay, so last point before we go live here is that if this is your first time going into Lumio, there will be a few prompts for setting up your Lumio account. It is single sign-on with your school-issued Google credentials. You don't have to worry about creating a new username and password, which is awesome. But you will need to identify your teacher display name. Mine's Mrs. Schrader. This is a name that your students will see, so I don't recommend Batman unless you like your kids calling you Batman. You might have to confirm that you're an adult, that you live in the US. A couple of those little account setup things. Okay. So if we'll all go to our Google Drive, I'm going to end this lesson and close this tab so that we go to our Google Drive. And then, as I said, you can go to waffle icon, you can scroll down and click on that Lumio bug, but I personally prefer to go to the folder I want my file to live in, and I click New, More, Lumio. Once I'm here, there are a couple of ways to go about searching it. The fastest and easiest way to go looking for good content for yourself is to just click on that Lumio library tab at the top center of your screen. And you'll notice mine has a little green button or a little green dot on it. That means there are brand new resources that have just gone live and that I haven't seen them yet. So when I tap on Lumio library, I get to see all of the featured content up top, anything with a green dot is new. So look at all this awesome new stuff. We have reading response to women in business, reading response International Women's Day, spring quote board. We have various collections on connections that matter, emotional literacy, managing your classroom, distance learning. There's mental health goodies made in partnership with Kooth. Various manipulatives, mind maps, a game of chess if you want to play chess with your students. Who's got chess club? Tic-tac-toe choice board, algebra tiles, of course, STEAM, fractions, reading and writing, of course. Here we go. Here's a bunch of our reading and writing content. And this is all ready to use lesson content, games, individual activities or group activity content. So we can scroll down to find what we need here in those different categories that are established, or we can do a search. So for the for something like a graphic organizer, we might scroll down and look for the graphic organizers collection. And then we can look for something like, oh, here's engaging in argument from evidence. Ooh, let's preview the different pages and decide which ones we really like. If we like all of them, that's awesome. If we only like a couple of them, that's okay too. There's two ways to do this. So you can save this entire lesson. If you like all of it, you can save the entire lesson to your Lumio library by clicking Save to My Library. And then it's going to save this whole collection as a new sort of like lesson tile here in your Lumio library. It becomes your content that you get to manipulate. So that's the quick and easy way to do this. If you find something you like in the Lumio library, I'm going to scroll back down to those graphic organizers. I'm going to click Engaging in Argument from Evidence. And let's say I love all of these different options. I'll save the whole thing to my library. Okay. As it's processing, I can just give it a couple minutes. I prefer to wait a couple minutes and let it think and make sure that I don't mess anything up. There it goes. If I want to go ahead and start playing around with those pages right away, I can click Edit, or I can start right then and there. If it's a full-blown lesson that I'm snagging from the Lumio library, I can just click Start. But for now, I'm going to dismiss it, and I'm going to go back to see more resources. Maybe I want to search for the author's purpose game that we didn't actually play today. So I'm going to do a search for author's purpose. There was a practice game. Here we go. So there's author's purpose practice. There's a whole bunch of goodies in here, but let's take a look at this individual game. These are the signal words, and we didn't play this game because I wanted to save us time, but this was part of that original lesson that I shared with you guys as my guest students earlier. I can see the game, and it's a bit tiny, but I can practice, for instance, is an example to describe, right? So if I like this individual game, I might save it to my library, but maybe I'm thinking, ooh, is this enough? Maybe I want to do more with this. That's okay. You can add more to it. Once it's in your library, you can edit that activity. So save it to my library. Notice that here's our little author's purpose practice processing. Okay, so that's working. And now it's done. So if I wanted to go ahead and edit that, add more author purpose and signal words, awesome, I can do that. But again, I might just be looking for goodies to add to my library. So I'm going to go back out here, and maybe I want to look for something more specific, right? I might put another key term in there. Or maybe I'm just going to scroll down and I'm going to look for, sight words and phonics. Yes, please. My little guy, Otto, needs that right now. he's a super bright boy, but he is not necessarily as enthusiastic about his sight words as I want him to be. So I'm going to create some games for him. So maybe I'm going to take a peek at this and look at this ABC matching initial sounds collection of games. Oh, love this. So I'm going to save that to my library too. Now, all of these things that I've saved to my library are now things that I can leverage to create new lessons. I can edit them and use them as they are. So I'll pull us out and show you a couple more steps for building content. But once we've grabbed some things from that Lumio library, there's a whole lot less creation work that we have to do. So I hope that you are as excited about this as I am, because the Lumio library has been growing by leaps and bounds recently. And, as you may have noticed, there are some things that are seasonal. There are some things that are specific to subject areas or grade levels. And we can really find a lot of good stuff in there. It's kind of like Smart Exchange for those of you who are Notebook once upon a time using Notebook. So now these three collection of engaging in argument graphic organizers, this specific game, this collection of games that's more like a full-blown lesson. These live in my library. So you see I'm in the My Library tab here. And if I wanted to go ahead and just use these as they are, I could do that. I'm going to back out and build a lesson, grabbing a little bit from each of these so that you can see what that looks like too, though. So I'm going to close out my Lumio library. I'm going to go back to my Google Drive, and I'm going to start with new. Oh, before I do this, hang on. Let's point out the fact that here's that engaging in argument from evidence lesson. This is that whole collection of graphic organizers that I pulled in. And when I double tap on it, it's ready to go as a lesson for my students, for me to run with my students. Okay, so here's that whole thing. And then I could, on the fly, ooh, I've got a student in here. Who jumped in? I'm going to kick you out, Alex, just for the sake of this example. So on this first page, I might want my students to work independently. And on the fly, you don't even have to do this in advance. On the fly, we can tap that people icon and convert it to an individual handout. After my students jump in, once they've joined the class, tap on that people icon again and click. All right, so that's just a little fun tip. But let's use that content to build a lesson from scratch. So we're going to go to our Google Drive, starting in the folder we want it to live in, or simply going to that waffle icon if we don't need to go into the folder. New, more, Lumio. And I've got 6 minutes to show this method, and then we'll go to your questions. I'm keeping an eye on my time. All right. So once I've clicked from my Google Drive, new, more, Lumio, I'm going to click new. And let's say we are going to start with one of those existing resources that we pulled in from the Lumio library into our library. So I'm going to click import resource. Now you could bring in a PDF, PowerPoint, notebook file. You could bring in your Google files. For today, the examples that I'm focusing on are those Lumio library resources. So I'm going to click My Library. Okay. So now from my library, I can pull content from any of my previously made lessons and those lessons I just saved out of Lumio's library into my library. So maybe I'm going to grab that author's purpose practice, or maybe I'm going to grab the ABC matching initial sounds. Let's grab that whole thing. There are 3 games here. Do I need all 3 games? Do I want all 3 games? Maybe I don't want this first one. So I can uncheck that and just bring in the first page and the 2 other games. Or maybe I know that I don't want the first page. So you can select all, you can pick and choose what pages you want. and we can add these in. Then we might want to add a PDF that we're going to convert into an individual handout. Or maybe we want to add more resources from our Lumio library. So we'll let this load up, and then I'll show you how we can add content from your specific, the My Library area. You can add ready-made resources. You could add YouTube videos and all games, other things. We can even search the Lumio library. So remember in the beginning, I said, we're going to tap on that Lumio library tab at the top, and we can just explore what's available in there. And we can save anything we like to the My Library tab. So, but even if we don't do that exploration in advance, we can still grab nuggets from the Lumio library, the global Lumio library, as we're building a lesson. Okay, so, okay, we're doing ABC matching sounds for ELA. Great. Let's click on that plus button. As I said, we could bring in existing content, a PDF, a PowerPoint, a Google slide, a notebook file. You could bring in a YouTube video. You could add a game and build your own game. Shout it outs, question reflections, manipulatives. Ooh, maybe we need a manipulative. Let's just show this really quick because for ELA, this is so cool. We could have a making words digital manipulative, and you might add this at the beginning or add it at the end. Maybe I'm going to put it in the middle of my games, click and drag it down. And I want my students to, you know, maybe rhyme with cat, okay? And I might normally type out the instructions more, but for the sake of speed, I'm just going to put cat up at the top, and we're going to lock this down, and this becomes, using that magic wand in the top right, I'm going to click individual handout. All of these little bubbles down here are infinitely cloned, so my students can make their own words. Okay, so I'm going to delete these out real quick, but that's what this is, a digital manipulative. These are already set up for you, infinitely cloned objects for you and your students to use. I'm going to make that an individual handout. Quick and easy, didn't require a lot of work. But maybe I want more from that Lumio library. Maybe it's something that I didn't get in advance, saved from the Lumio library to the My Library. Maybe I want to, let's see, letter sound. Let's do a quick search for letter sounds, okay? Here we can see there are more resources for ABC matching sounds or letter sounds, beginning sounds and symbols. Ooh, let's see. Beginning sounds and symbols, games. This looks like a digital manipulative that someone else made. Oh, it's an individual handout with the digital manipulatives. Yes, I want this in my lesson. So I'm going to save it to my lesson. So now I've found resources for my ELA engagement in two ways. Let's go ahead and finish editing. I went from my Google Drive into Lumio, whether I went from the waffle icon or new, more Lumio. And then I clicked on Lumio Library and I just explored. And I could save anything I saw in the Lumio Library into the My Library area so that I can edit it, manipulate it, leverage it quick and easy in the future in building my own future lessons. Or I can simply start building a lesson myself and pull in the edit mode of a lesson, click on that blue plus button and search for more Lumio library resources that are ready-made games or collaborative workspaces or individual handouts or whatever I might need. Okay, maybe I want to look for graphic organizers. Search that. And now I've got a wealth of graphic organizer related content coming up. Label reveal concept map. Ooh, that's a fun one. Okay. All right, 1040. I'm going to go ahead and put sample at the front of this so that I know what this is. And just to sort of prove the point, when I click finish editing, I close my Lumio tab. I'm going to refresh this Google Drive tab. And we should see somewhere down here, sample ABC. Where did it go? It was there for a second. There it is. Sample ABC matching sounds. Okay, here's that lesson that I just made using the existing resources from the Lumio library, adding one of our ready-made template activities, that manipulative, the digital manipulative, as an individual handout. So it's making it quick and easy to get engaging resources for ELA. Okay, let's go look at those questions. 10:40, I've got 10 minutes. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment so that I can see my chat window. Where did it go? All right. Is there any way to pre-approve student submissions before they pop up live? Unfortunately, no. It's a great suggestion. And anytime you guys have a suggestion like that, share my screen again. Anytime you have an idea, I want you to share it with our developers. Okay, share it directly or vote for other people's ideas. How do you do that? From Lumio, you'll click on the little question mark and request a feature. That's going to take you to our user feedback program website. Pre-approve student submissions. Let's see if anybody's already suggested that. I would like to see student results. Okay, that's actually in the activities. It's been done. Sharing student work, individual student handout navigation, see all student responses on one screen. Okay, presets, teams, student report. So you can kind of search for a key term that relates to what you are asking the developers to do. And if you like somebody's idea, vote for it. If you don't see your idea, go ahead and post a new idea. And right? This post a new idea and type in your idea. The developers look at this feedback every week and they use this to adjust their roadmap. Okay, great question. Are these preloaded? Yes. So that was the whole point, is that there's a whole lot of preloaded content for you. And hopefully, Alex, as we went through the presentation today, that all made sense for you. This is so fun. Thanks, Emily. If I select whole class whiteboard, is there a way to change the activity to an individual or group lesson after it's been pushed out? No, good question. Once you've pushed the activity to the students, once you've run that lesson live, the activity is what it is. You could end the activity and reset it. You could maybe go back into your lesson and edit the activity, and that would reset the whole thing, but you'd end up losing that original work in the whole class whiteboard in converting it after the fact to the individual handout or the small group workspaces. So if you like an activity for the purposes of whole class whiteboard, but you think you might also want to use it for an individual exercise, just make multiple copies of that page. One of those pages you make a whole class, one of them you make a small group or an individual. Can students work together in a small group if you give them the same share link? Unfortunately, they need to be put into those small groups before you send them the student share link. So whereas individual handouts and whole class whiteboards, students can get into those pages and contribute to them live in class or asynchronously outside of class time through the student share link. When you're doing the small group collaborative workspaces, those you must set up those groups live in class with every student in your lesson at the same time, even if that's all you do. But you do have to set up those groups during a live class session. Yes. The next question is, can you have different groups working on different Lumio activities independently? Absolutely. What you'll want to do in that case is, as you suggest in your question, have the different share links. So from Lumio, when I am happy with this lesson and I want to share it as a work from home exercise, or maybe I've made 3 copies of this lesson and each copy has some small adjustments, its own special stuff for the different groups of my students. Maybe I have my high flyers, my right on target students, and then my students that are struggling a little bit. So I make 3 different versions of the same lesson. And in class, when I give them sort of independent work time or sort of work in your level group time, your group level time, click on that snowman icon, click share link, and I'm going to grab the student share link, copy that, post it into the learning management system, or email it to the students for which that lesson is applicable, so that those students work on copy A. Maybe you've got, John, Marie, Shane working on lesson A, and then you've got Otto and Felix and Jose working on copy B. So you can create those different copies, use the student share link. The important thing to note here, though, is that student share link assumes asynchronous work. So the small group work doesn't really work in those circumstances unless you set up those small groups, as I said, in advance. Okay. And yes, Meredith, once the small group is set up, you could just take the last 2 minutes of class to set up that small group assignments. Off they go, and they can work independently through the student share link on those small group workspaces at any point, as long as you leave the lesson open for them. Can web links be included? Yes. You can insert your own web links on a page. If I go to edit, on any functional page here as the teacher, I can click on this little add content button with the heart and the plus sign and the circle. So I've got shapes and lines. I've got images that I can upload or do a Bing Safe search. And then there's this last button that's add a web link. So if I know that I want my students to go to a particular website for their research, in this case, I might do bit.ly/explore Lumio, just because that's one I know off the top of my head. Add that link to this page. This becomes something that's clickable for my students, that when they're looking at this lesson live or asynchronously, they'll be able to click that link and it's going to take them out to that web address. Lumio is an app in our splash screen. Yep. Interactions. Smartboard. Yes. So Lumio is by Smart. Lumio is the online complement to Smart Notebook, for those of you who remember Smart Notebook. And you absolutely, my board went to sleep even though I was here. You absolutely, if you have one of the newer interactive smart boards, you can sign into the IQ experience and pull up your Lumio lessons through the files library. If you have the black bezel smart board, you can just go to the browser and pull up your Lumio there and run the lesson from there. You could, if you have an older smart interactive whiteboard, open your Lumio lesson on your teacher laptop, have that plugged into your smart board, run the lesson front of room display style. Absolutely, you can do all of that. Same company. Yeah, so like Nearpod, you don't have to project this. Well, I don't know if you have to project Nearpod, but you do not have to project your Lumio lesson on a big screen in order to run it. Obviously, I didn't do that today. Good. You can upload your existing notebooks. Yes. And yeah, you don't need hardware to run Lumio. You just need your teacher device and your student devices. If you import a Google slide, does the immersive reader feature work? Unfortunately not. Right now, when you import PowerPoint and Google Slides, the image gets flattened. The whole page gets flattened into an image. If you want your manipulatives from a PowerPoint or a Google slide to be manipulatives inside of Lumio, the kind of lengthy workaround is to export the Google slide to PowerPoint, import it to Notebook, and then from Notebook, import it to Lumio, and then they remain manipulatives because Lumio and Notebook are sister products and they can read each other's content, or take from PowerPoint straight into Notebook. The developers are trying, and they're working with Google and Microsoft to make it such that we can import those manipulatives, we can import that text and have Immersive Reader read it, have those manipulatives be functional in Lumio. We're just not there yet. Okay, have they added a visual timer similar to the widgets? Unfortunately, no. At this time, there are no widgets inside of Lumio. That's another thing that the developers are working on. Okay, 10:50, and I just answered all the questions. Any last thoughts, questions, reactions? Put them in the chat. Did we like what we saw? Are we excited about our ELA resources? Awesome. Thank you for the thumbs up. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your eCoach day. So great to spend some time with all of you. Can't wait to hear from your Office of Information Instructional Technology that you guys are enjoying this. Don't hesitate. Oh, the last thing I should say really, really quickly is that we do have resources. I've posted those resources. I put a Google Doc with a link to the teacher copy of the lesson, as well as the link to the Lumio resources page. But in this lesson, you'll have access to this. You'll have access to our Lumio resources. And if you have questions, my PD specialist, Sarah Stork, is happy to help. If you happen to have time to give us feedback, we'd love for that too. So yeah, thank you again for your time. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and have an awesome rest of the year. Thank you again, and I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.